Hi, Caroline. Thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast, Choose Courage Movement.
It's great to see you, Terry, and I love the idea of your podcast, Choose Courage. What a wonderful thing.
Thank you. Thank you. I love how our paths crossed many years ago when I wrote my first book, The 100 Hearts, and you somehow was invited to this club, and I forgot what the name of the club is.
It's the League of Utah Writers, and you
Right,
gave a great talk. You gave a great talk.
Thank you. Thank you. I was so honored to talk to your group and be a part of the group because writing is such a wonderful experience in my own life. And I know it's been a wonderful experience in your life. Can you tell the audience just a little bit more about who you are and your background?
Sure. All I wanted to be from when I was 9 years old was a writer. And I've since written 3 books and almost 1,000 magazine articles. I write every day. I'm kind of always working on something. I've found that when you write about things that you're vulnerable with, that can be a really good story. And I won the Tribune Clutter Contest. They declared me the most cluttered person in Salt Lake City. And I had to have my cluttered rooms appear in the Tribune and stuff like that. And then also, another thing I write about often is I was the only adopted child in my neighborhood growing up. And I kind of held that as a secret. And when I came out and started writing about that, it led to a lot of great stories. There's a lot of emotion in adoption, and that led to a lot of great stories. I was a staff writer for People magazine for a short time, and that's what I love writing the most is people's stories. I love doing that. And let's see, so writing about, and then I was telling Terry, I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor. I've had that experience twice, and I encourage everyone to get their mammograms and to keep going. And I would like to encourage anyone out there that wants to pursue their writing to get going on that. And articles are a nice short form. You can finish them fast and get paid fast, and everyone wants to do that.
Yes, absolutely. I know I've started doing that as well. And thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability about what you've been through, because this is October and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm so thank you. You told us about that, and that you're encouraging everyone to get a mammogram and save lives, and that there is life after breast cancer. Right?
I always felt like I had it, but it didn't have me. I always felt like that. But both times my cancer was found through a mammogram. And so I'm really a strong believer in mammograms.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for bringing up that conversation today. And your background, I had no idea. And I love and just like you, I love stories about people, and you never know what people have done and their background and what led them to be who they are and where they are today. And you always, from the first day I met you, you always had such a positive attitude. It was just contagious. And I just adored you from day one. And I know we're talking about courage. So you just described so many ways that you have demonstrated courage. I'm going to ask you, in a new moment in time, have you seen yourself as courageous in your life?
You know, I'm honored that you would say that. I hope so. I would really want to be. I think so many things are achieved and accomplished through courage. And also, I think compassion is achieved through courage when we reach out to others. And so I hope so. That would be a goal of mine for sure, to be courageous.
Thank you so much. Well, I just knowing you and describing, even the one thing you just described was that you didn't talk about being adopted for so long, and you kind of hid that as a secret, and how liberating it was for you to be able to talk about it. And that's what I have learned in sharing stories and doing and writing my book, 100 Hearts, is that when I shared other people's stories, it set them free. First of all, for the very first time, they felt they weren't alone. And then it let other people give them the permission to tell their stories.
Oh, I think so. I have told so many adoption stories and reunion stories, people reuniting with their birth family. And then I'm working on an adoption book now. So it's a great experience for me.
Wonderful. And another thing I would love to talk to you about writing, because there's so many people out there that they have a story and they want to get it out, and they want to either write a book or do a documentary or some fashion. They want to get this out to the public. But a lot of people I have talked to said, I'm not a writer. I can't write a book. And I felt the same way. but there's people out there, and there's a way to do it if you really want to get it done.
I would agree 100%. You can work with a writer, or you can seek advice from an editor. You can start by doing a short story and then expand it to a book later. You can start by writing an article and see how you feel about it at that point. Do you feel like you want to keep moving on with it? And you can combine other stories with your own and have an anthology. But I would really encourage anyone to try it. There's the League of Utah Writers is a great group that you can go to meet with other writers and to ask for advice. There are a lot of writing groups out there. And so I would say maybe consider going to a writing group, maybe consider seeking a ghostwriter, maybe just give it a try on your own for a while and see how far you go. Like Richard Paul Evans that wrote his first book, and now he has a big Christmas box house empire. I was able to write about him for People magazine, and that was a thrilling experience.
How exciting. How exciting. So you've seen all aspects of this. What great suggestions for people who are thinking about this. And I know there's a lot of people out there thinking about writing a book. And it is really a thrill, isn't it, Carolyn?
Absolutely a thrill. One of the biggest thrills of my life. And seeing your book cover for the first time, it really is like giving birth.
It is, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to compare, but that's what it takes. I mean, it does take a lot of effort, and you're so proud of it, just like, giving birth.
Yeah. Oh, you're so proud of it. So thrilling. And it gives you a platform to share your ideas and to get out there. And it's just a wonderful thing. I would encourage anyone to try it. And you can write in small increments if that's the amount of time you have. You can maybe set aside an hour every morning to work on it and see how that works out.
Yes.
And and feel like you're not alone. Just talking to other writers is helpful, because writing, it can be a little bit lonely at times. And so it's good to meet with other people and see what they think and just share the experience of writing.
Yes, I love that idea. I think that's a great idea. The Utah League of Writers, and they have different groups around the country, right?
They do. For writing. Around the country and around just our state, but they have a lot of them, and some of them are new writers starting out, and some of them are writers that are kind of giving back and helping other writers.
Nice. That is nice. Oh, that's so exciting. Makes me want. I'm really starting in the thought process of a new book, and so I will be reaching out to you and the group. So because I need that support as well. So okay, I'm on to my next question that I like to ask my guest. Now, in a new moment in time, if you chose courage over doubt or fear, is there something that you would do or have done? Oh,
I feel like as a journalist writing other people's stories that I choose courage regularly. I feel honored to represent their stories, and that they will tell their stories to me and trust me to represent them in an accurate and effective way. And so every time I write an article, I feel like I'm choosing courage a little bit. I do lots of interviewing. I almost always write other people's stories. I have written my own when I wrote about winning the clutter contest. That was a fun thing. And I think a lot of creative people do struggle with clutter, and they tell me that 60% of people have more clutter in their homes than they wish they did. And so that was something for me to admit and to choose courage. I thought I was the only person that struggled a little bit with too many papers on the table and things like that. And they really helped me see that I'm not alone in that all of us maybe struggle with that a little bit.
Oh, that's such a great example, first of all, of courage and of the theme that we've been talking about. And that is when we share something vulnerable, also we realize we are not alone. And other people go, okay, maybe I'm not alone either. And maybe I can share my story. So that's a great example of what just happened. You thought you were the only person, but no, there's a high percentage of creative people. And I know those people as well.
It's more common than we think. And I felt that we chose courage in agreeing to have our cluttered rooms featured in the newspaper. That, when I won the contest, they came out and took photos of my clutter and featured it in the newspaper. And that felt like a courageous moment.
Yes, it is. So again, you've already answered my first question. Are you courageous? by answering the second question. I think you now see, I hope, maybe even from some of the questions today, I hope you see yourself a little bit more courageous than you did before we started this interview.
Oh, I love that idea. And I definitely do. And I love that idea.
Oh, great. And I've worked on this with so many people, and including myself. I never saw myself as courageous until I wrote my book. And the more that we can see ourselves as courageous, the more courageous we will be. And it's like a muscle. It grows. Each time you use it, you get stronger, it gets easier. And so I want everyone that is listening to the podcast today is to remember that you are courageous, and you just need to look back and see some of the things like Carolyn just did. Some of the things that she has accomplished is amazing. Not only surviving breast cancer twice, but writing people's stories and trying to represent them in the way that they would want to be represented, and sharing, that her story about the clutter and different things, and writing and continuing to interview people. What an incredible background that you have.
Oh, thank you. It's always wonderful to talk to another writer like you, and the courage you must have shown to write your first book. That must have been thrilling when you finish it and when you saw it for the first time.
It really was. It did put me on a path to speaking as well. But writing that book was really, I was just mortified, to tell you the truth. And I had all these people just surround me and hover me over me and just said, you have a story, we will help you. There are people that can help you. And it was just such a relief. And to see the product of that in the end has probably been one of the most thrilling things of my entire life.
Oh, I felt the same way about my 3 books. Mm-hmm. I did. And the first one was about adoption, and that was really validating to me.
I
to
love
write
that.
About something.
So how can we find your books, and how can people contact you?
Let's see, should I give you my email?
We can put that on the video. Why don't we just do that, so you don't have to tell everybody, but we'll put that in the video and in the information, so they can contact you by email.
Or on Facebook.
Or on Facebook, and tell them your full name or how they can find you on Facebook.
It's Carolyn Campbell. I used to have kind of a funny last name. My maiden name was Goats. Can you believe that? It was Goats. And we were teased daily about it. So I went from an animal to a soup, and I think Carolyn Campbell, that soup name kind of works.
You're so funny. Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, that'll be easy to remember. Soup, right? Soup.
Carolyn
is C-A-R-Y.
Carolyn.
Yes, thank you.
The dog started barking. Campbell, Campbell is my last name.
Perfect. And we'll also put that on the information in the video. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I have been so inspired by you. First of all, just your attitude, your positive personality, and it just feels like you live life as if everything's possible. Oh,
I really feel that way strongly. I really feel that everything is possible, and there's a thrill in each new day. And we can always just look forward to what we can achieve and what we can accomplish. And I feel that way strongly.
Well, that's what I'm feeling from you. So thank you for giving us that gift today, and to everyone that knows you. And thank you for sharing what you do and your story of courage. I hope this inspires people that are listening to our podcast today. And make sure, if you're thinking about writing a book, contact Carolyn. And we have all the information, and join a group and write that book, and make sure it is October, Breast Cancer Month. Go out there and get your mammogram. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience before we sign off?
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And I would say that just sit down today and take 20 minutes or so and start writing.
Wonderful. Okay. I want to hear from everybody out there. Thank you for joining us today. All right.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.